In this video, we are rebuilding the 2017 Cleveland Browns, who finished with an 0-16 record. Our goal is not just to break that record, but to rewrite their history. With the rosters from that year, we face a big question. Do we go for Baker Mayfield in the 2018 draft, or do we make a surprising choice? Who knows, we might not even have the first pick. The 2017 season started off beautifully for the Browns with 3 first-round picks in that year's draft. With the first overall pick, they naturally chose Myles Garrett, a decision that no one questions to this day. We begin with Garrett rated at 79 overall with just the star development trait. Additionally, they brought in David Njoku and Jabril Peppers in the first round. In the second and third rounds, the Browns selected quarterback DeShone Kizer from Notre Dame and defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi. As mentioned with these 5 selections in the first 3 rounds, the Browns went 0-16 that year. Can we do better with the limited talent on this roster? To give ourselves a better chance of improving our record with this roster, we dive into the free agent market, but we don't find many upgrades. I'm not impressed with our running back room featuring Duke Johnson and Isaiah Crowell, so we bring in veteran Adrian Peterson for a year. We also signed Martellus Bennett to support rookie Njoku and provide some extra weapons. DeShone Kizer will have to make do with limited options. Our best wide receivers are Corey Coleman and Josh Gordon, and it quickly becomes clear that Kizer's limited talent will struggle with these weapons. To make matters worse, while our offensive line isn't terrible, it's not particularly strong either. However, we do have veteran and club legend Joe Thomas holding down the left tackle position. Let's not beat around the bush. The first few weeks of the season, the 2017 Browns are once again on track for a winless season. DeShone Kizer is exactly what you'd expect, with most of his throws being hit or miss. When he's under pressure from a pass rusher, his accuracy completely disappears, and I find myself making poor decisions as I try to force plays. This is largely due to the previously mentioned issues. Wide receivers Coleman and Gordon rarely win contested catches and only manage to catch the ball when they're wide open. And when they finally are open, it's questionable whether Kizer can even reach them while he's running for his life 75% of the time. Our running game isn't much better in the early weeks, as we primarily alternate snaps between Duke Johnson and Adrian Peterson. When the first trade offers for Isaiah Crowell come in, I decide to pass on them and give Crowell a more significant role in the offense, which quickly pays off. In Week 8, we welcome our division rivals from Baltimore. And remember, these aren't the Ravens we talk about today. This is the season that would ultimately lead to drafting Lamar Jackson, so we had a shot at our first victory against these Ravens. Joe Flacco was mostly under control throughout the game, and by halftime we were leading 17-3 with touchdowns from Bennett and Crowell. However, in the second half, we ran into many of our old problems again, with an offense that couldn't convert first downs and a defense that couldn't make stops. The Ravens came back and took an 18-17 lead with just 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter when we got the ball. We leaned heavily on Crowell during the entire drive, and time after time, he managed to get a first down. Under his leadership, we moved down the field until we found Flash Gordon on a 2nd and 9, and he bulldozed through the defense for the go-ahead touchdown. We failed our 2-point conversion, but the Ravens still needed a touchdown for the win. But Flacco never got that chance. With 2 sacks among other pressures, we kept the Ravens at bay. And Isaiah Crowell sealed the deal with another rushing touchdown, knocking the Ravens out for good. So we achieved one of our goals, to win at least one game with the 2017 Cleveland Browns. In fact, by the end of Week 18, we finished with a total of 4 wins. That's a solid result after a very tough year filled with frustrating moments. However, there's a significant downside to these 4 wins and 1 tie. We don't have the first pick in the NFL draft, but rather the 3rd. On top of that, the Browns had 4 selections in the first 2 rounds of the 2018 draft. They picked some big names: Baker Mayfield, Denzel Ward, Austin Corbett, and Nick Chubb, all of whom have built impressive careers. Unfortunately, we don't have that luxury, as we're stuck with the picks the Browns will make in 2025. We have just 1 selection in each of the first 4 rounds, so we won't be having a franchise-altering draft anytime soon. But before the draft begins, let's take a look at how this season ultimately played out. Drew Brees led the NFL in passing yards and maintained his usual high completion percentage. In the end, it was Alex Smith who threw the most touchdowns for the Chiefs with 46. How did we fare with DeShone Kizer? Kizer threw for 3,600 yards with 18 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. A tough year for him. However, we did have some bright spots. Linebacker Joe Schobert ranked among the top 10 tacklers in the NFL, and rookie Myles Garrett started his career strong with a solid 10.5 sacks, matching fellow rookie and rival TJ Watt. We also had two players, Myles Garrett and McCourty, make it to the Pro Bowl. The Super Bowl was a rematch from the previous year where the Falcons squandered their infamous 28-3 lead, and this time they couldn't overcome Brady and the Patriots once again. It was another close game, ending in a 24-27 victory for the Patriots, with linebacker Donta Hightower named Super Bowl MVP. Jared Goff of the Rams won the NFL MVP award, and on a positive note for us, Myles Garrett was named Defensive Rookie of the Year. Winning this Super Bowl turns out to be Tom Brady's last trick, as we see him retire early after 18 seasons as a Patriot. This brings us to our first offseason with the 2017 Browns. I must say, I had hoped there would be more to gain in the free agent market, but most superstars are staying with their teams. Despite our ample cap space, we'll have to make do with what's available. That said, we're not sitting idle. Our biggest signing is 26-year-old DeMarcus Lawrence, who decides to leave the Cowboys and join us. He's a valuable addition to our defensive line alongside Myles Garrett. We also bring in another former Cowboy, Terrence Williams, to strengthen our wide receiver group. Additionally, we signed special teamer Cordero Patterson, along with a few solid backups for the offensive line. With free agency wrapped up, it's finally time for the draft, where we get to pick third overall. I'm torn between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. I feel you can't go wrong with either. If both are selected right before my pick, I'll have some tough choices to make. The 49ers are up first, and they make my decision easier by choosing Josh Allen, which takes my plan A off the table. Now, Lamar Jackson becomes my new plan A, but first, the Jets get to make their selection. What luck! The Jets go for Baker Mayfield. This gives us the chance to select a franchise-altering player. As for other notable picks in the first round, Denzel Ward goes to the Cardinals, who opt not to draft a quarterback in this alternate reality. The Vikings then select Sam Darnold, the quarterback currently leading them to a successful season. Josh Rosen ends up with the Ravens at pick 12, and lastly, the Steelers make the right choice by bringing Minkah Fitzpatrick home. For our second round pick, we have a golden opportunity to give Lamar Jackson a top weapon and bring in a true number one wide receiver. We select Courtland Sutton. It's an absolute no-brainer, and we're lucky to have him. In the third round, many of our top targets are already off the board, so we go with the best player available at that moment, Dallas Goedert. We have just two picks left, one in the fifth round and one in the sixth. For both, we target the cornerback position. In the fifth round, we select Josh Jackson, which is a bit of a reach, but we overlooked our sixth-round choice, Dante Jackson. If we swap those two, this draft with the Browns is one I think we can be quite pleased with. And with the draft, we come to the end of Season 1 of our retro rebuild of the Cleveland Browns. Let me know in the comments if you agree with our choice of Lamar Jackson, or if we should have stuck with Kizer and selected Saquon Barkley, as many mock drafts in Madden suggested we would. Also, let us know in the comments if we should start Lamar Jackson right away or let him develop for a year behind DeShone Kizer. Thanks for watching.